Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint.
They're pulling them out.
911, advise ready for gameplay.
God!
Four Stories, I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
And we are back for another week. This is I think what are we in March now? This is the beginning of March. January seemed like it lasted 3 months long. Like there was like 13 weeks of January this year.
Honestly,
and then February went by really fast.
The last 2 weeks have just been so stupidly long. It's because my wife went back to work and I've been injured with the kids at home, and I'm sitting here like, holy fuck.
I didn't know she was off work.
So hybrid. She was working hybrid. So she works for Northrop, and they went to a hybrid schedule, and for a very long time, and they've slowly been integrating back into workplace. So COVID, 100% work from home if you're on a non-secret, top secret thing. Then they started integrating hybrid, and then now they're like, nah, you're coming all back. And I'm like,
yeah, fucking Trump signed an order telling all federal workers they have to come back.
But at the same time, it makes my week. I'm Wednesday. I think it's Friday because I'm just like, this is fucking crazy. It's just so long. So yeah, this week and month has dragged on like crazy.
Well, I'm glad we can be here with a guest and take your mind off your kids for a little bit. See, I see your head. Your headphones working now? The ones your kids did not destroy them?
Oh yeah, a little bit sketchy on this side, but yeah, great.
What'd they do?
My youngest apparently got up on my mic stand and started because they're braided, started undoing the braids.
Oh,
so I don't know how hard she pulled on one of the cords, and I'm hoping she didn't halfway decapitate it. So maybe it's just a little bit of backfeed, but
I'm telling you, you know why God invented mothers is so that fathers don't drown their children.
Yeah. They're the maternal and caring ones. We are the hunter gatherer. I provide for you. I put food over your head.
Yeah,
I'll be as can't even be maternal. I'll be as kind as possible.
Yep.
Empathetic as possible.
Yep. But that's not a lot.
No, it's difficult.
I'll teach you how to swallow a bag of concrete and harden up.
Yeah. I'll teach you how to hurt someone.
Yeah, that too. And then so our guest this week.
Yeah,
let's talk about our guest this week because we got to get him in here.
He's a SWAT sergeant. Went to Colorado Tech University. He's an experienced police officer with a demonstrated history of working in the law enforcement industry, skilled in law enforcement, project coordination, training, and SWAT.
I guess
that's see, and then he's just got his little fitness hoodie on, and he's like, "What's up?" Right? That's how we all are, right? We're like, we get home, we turn it all off. We try to turn it all off, and we just relax. And at work, we're ninjas and secret squirrels and hard chargers, and at home we're dad and the lawnmower and the help pick up after dinner guy. And
yeah, can I ask you boys one thing real quick? It's been on my mind for a while. Because you just brought it up. You just said we try to turn it off at the door when we come in at home. But when we go to work, they're like, hey, it's the same thing. Turn that shit off. Turn your emotions off. You're here at work. Be present at work. The only thing, one track mind is what you're doing right here. But in reality, I think that could also be detrimental because now you're trying to, I get the whole sentiment and not bringing emotions to work, but sometimes it's going to bleed over. And, what is your guys' take on that?
You mean not bringing emotions to work or not bringing work home?
Both. Because you're going to have bleed over on both. And it's so hard to just turn it off, and the more you turn it, I feel like the more.
Well, let's throw it over to Dustin. What are your thoughts?
Because I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
Well, I don't think I don't think you can. You're only human, and humans are emotional beings. So being able to turn it off or turn it on, I don't think it's a realistic thing that you can do. And maybe you can
compartmentalize,
turn it down.
Yeah,
but I don't think turning it off completely is possible.
Right. And the reason why I bring it up is because I just learned this. I'm in therapy, and go figure. And I learned that it's okay to feel your feelings and allow that shit to feel it. Allow yourself to feel it, but don't allow it to control you. That way you can move through it. And I feel like when I first came on law enforcement in the military, hey, leave that shit out the door. And I'm like, got it. And I tried so hard, and I feel like it just allowed everything to kind of build up over time, and then it just had a more of a negative effect than anything. And what I would like to say to younger generation of coppers, and I think you're probably on the same field, Dustin, is feel it, but don't let it control you at work because you have a fucking job to do. But know that they are there, and if you need to talk to someone, fucking talk to someone to get that shit under control while you are at work.
Yeah, I would say that's correct, but I think you have to do a certain amount of compartmentalization while you're at work, because
yeah, I get that.
Having the emotions at work can get you killed. It can compromise your judgment. It can compromise your thinking.
But if you're that bad, shouldn't you be in the field at the same time if you're dealing with something that strong?
So that's a really good point that you make, and that we're going to have a pretty good conversation today, because I'm recently being medically retired because I was involved in 3 different shootings, and I never dealt with any of my emotions. And after a while, you don't have the ability to deal with anything anymore, because that PTSD, just your capacity overflows your cup, and it doesn't matter what's going on. It's too much. And I got diagnosed with severe PTSD, and the doctor said, you're done. So I am medically retired as of this month, which is a change from
it is. Chuck, I'm medically retired, and Chuck is going through it.
This
so let's start. Let's back up.
Fun.
Let's back up then and talk about how you got into. We don't want to start at the end. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get into this career?
So I was one of those kids growing up. My old man was in the U.S. Forest Service, and he was one of the federal SWAT guys when growing weed was illegal on federal land. And, right. So he got to be on a regional team and travel all around the Pacific Northwest and take down these pot farms. And I grew up just watching
Oregon, Northern California.
From Oregon. That's exactly where I'm from.
Yep.
And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do.
The Emerald Triangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the moment I graduated high school, well, I'm 18 years old, so I can't be the police yet. So I joined the military.
As many do, right?
Yes.
I got out. I got my bachelor's degree. I started working my way, and I ended up getting hired on into an agency in Southern Colorado.
Nice.
So how old were you when you got hired on?
I was older after I went through the military, and I got out of school. I think I was 31.
Okay. And what branch of the service were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay. And what did you do in the Air Force? Was it something law enforcement related? Were you security forces or? Okay. Yes. Yeah. So you were preparing for your law enforcement career through a career in the military.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had to go. I mean, me as a kid, I had to go. I had to go that route.
You had to go Air Force route?
I had to go military route. I didn't know anything about the military, other than the 4 stereotypes that people who don't know anything about the military believe. So I wanted to be one of the smart kids who joined the Air Force, and so that's what.
Sure. The chair force, right? That's the one they call it, and they joke around about PT being on a bicycle and all that stuff, and then that's all right. You can call Chuck a crayon eater, though. You can absolutely call Chuck a crayon eater, because it turns out that stereotype is true.
Hey, they're bringing back some previously discontinued crayons. Can't wait for that for the
Chuck's very excited.
I can't wait.
His favorite is the McRib crayon.
The McRib special edition.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's only offered for a limited time.
It tastes like fucking earlobe meat.
Yes.
So you come out of the military, you join the police department in Colorado, and it was a big agency, small agency.
It's a medium-sized agency.
Okay,
nice.
Yeah, it was a medium-sized agency. It was big enough we had a lot of opportunity to do different stuff, but it wasn't so big. You didn't know everybody.
Sure.
So started. I went fast. I started out. I hit the streets. They made me a PTO before I even had the minimum required time.
Oh wow, you must have been.
I think it had a lot to do with me just being a little bit. Must have been a little bit older than some of the newer guys. I wouldn't say I was hot shit. I just like to work really hard. That's kind of what I prided myself on.
It's amazing how work ethic will get you far in law enforcement because there's so many guys that don't have it.
Yeah, it's wild because I'm not exceptionally smart. I'm not anything special, but I know how to work real hard.
Right.
And it'll take you a long way.
Yes, it will take you a long way.
100%. 100%. I've seen it though, where you got hard workers that they end up labeling them as risk management issues, and I'm like, that's the complete ass backward way of honoring your officers and promoting a good work ethic, because then you get left with a bunch of slugs and fucking station queens who don't want to do anything, and they just want to sit and be the fire department, and do call outs as they can. And I get it in today's atmosphere, but that is so important, and I can see why they promoted you. Freaking that work ethic is hard to come by in some agencies nowadays.
Yeah, especially when it's really, really busy and you can burn out real quick if you can't. So it's funny. I got a little frustrated one day. I decided I wasn't going to work very hard because I was mad that everybody else wasn't working hard. And I went home and I felt like shit. And I was like, everybody knows I'm being lazy, and nobody noticed but me. And I knew that right then, like, okay, well, it's just on me to do what I know is right every day. And so that's just kind of what I did.
Right.
Yeah. I talked to my old man and I got pissed off. I said, Officer so-and-so, who shall remain nameless, comes in and does 60% of the work I do.
Right.
And I go in and I give 100% and he gives 60%. When he gives 70% or 80%, everybody applauds. When I come in having a bad day and I can only do 90%, I'm a piece of shit. And he goes, yes. And I said, what do you mean? That's not fair. And he goes, what'd your grandfather tell you about fair, kid?
Right.
And I said, yeah, fair is where you go to buy cotton candy and step in animal shit. And I said, okay. So I got it. Message received. Pop was a cop. He said, if you're comparing yourself to what other people do, you're going to drive yourself insane.
Yeah. And serious. You could not have hit that more right on the head. If you can't focus on yourself and what you know is right, and you're focusing on what everybody else is doing, then you're going to, like you said, drive yourself insane.
Mm-hmm. And so that I kind of gave up.
I did that for far longer than I should have before. Where I was like, I don't care what so-and-so's doing. I'm going to manage my own time, my own self. And then things got a little bit happier.
Yeah. It's amazing when you realize you just need to do your own thing and do the job because you know how, and the job needs doing, and forget what other people are doing. It does increase your happiness. That's for sure. It you try to like get away from comparing yourself to other people and watching what other people are doing, and you just go 10-8, put your head down, hook and book.
Quiets the outside noise and allows you to focus on what you're actually doing and what you're good at, and allows you to really highlight those attributes.
Yeah, and I think they said something too when we started. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So with that in mind, if you can maintain that work ethic, then the opportunities that do present themselves down the road, if you want to go be in a specialized unit, or you want to go training officer or SWAT guy or whatever that is, your reputation is already made because of the way that you work every single day.
Correct.
And they already know you for being a solid dude or a solid officer or whatever it is. And you've already proven yourself, which is
my old man said, proven commodity.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, if you don't mind, because if we're going to talk about the PTSD aspect of it, do you mind talking a little bit about some of the shootings that got you there?
No, definitely not. We can journey down that path. I think it's important, simply because up until now, I don't think a lot of law enforcement agencies have any idea what to do with it. We all do.
Agreed.
It's a checkbox thing, right? Like, well, we did this, we gave him and he should be fine now. That's just not how it works. So I think it's an incredibly,
and I will say this, particular agencies your size and my size, where they don't deal with it a lot. Maybe they deal with it occasionally,
dude.
But what?
I was going to say, not even the agency my freaking size, they have no idea what to do with
Well,
it because
see,
my
then
partner
you
went
get
out
into
with it.
there's a sweet spot, right? There are agencies who deal with it often enough that they get experienced at it. They have good leadership. They put policies in place that make sense. Your agency is run like a corporation.
Yes, it's a fucking business, dude. It's just
And
it's all
so
it is, corporate
I've
business.
literally heard I've been trained by people from your agency who told me that they have been in conversations where risk management people have said, I would rather see a cop get injured and have to retire than have to pay out a suspect for an excessive force beef. And that's bullshit.
Yeah. Wow.
Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, unfortunately, the agency that I worked for should be extremely well versed in how to do this because we were by far the most violent in the state. And I don't know. There aren't too many. It's more of a matter of when, not if, and it's a matter of how many, because that's just the community that we live in.
Yeah, once you pop, the fun don't stop, dude. Because once you're exposed to one, you know how to handle yourself. You know when to shoot, when not to shoot, and you're more apt to shoot because you understand.
Yeah.
Well,
and,
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. You said it exactly right.
Yeah.
So
statistically speaking, we know. And honestly, the bottom line is, and I think Dustin, Chuck, and we've all been there. So I think we can all agree that once that seal is broken, right, in your mind, you go, wow, I'm never going to let it get that close again.
and then you find yourself there again.
Well, then hindsight, because in hindsight, you go back and you realize, wait a minute, I can pinpoint to maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or more incidents where I probably should have and I didn't. And so you in that
100%.
hindsight mind, you go, I'm never getting that close again. No freaking way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the first one I was 5 years on.
Oh wow.
And if I'm remembering right, it was right out of roll call, and we had a guy who was he was shooting a shotgun off in the front of the house. He was shooting up his mailbox.
Yeah, super.
Right. I got that was in my area, but they sent me to a different part of town to help out with a suspected kidnapping call, which I mean turned out to be a bullshit call. There was no such thing down there. We didn't find anything. So I'm running lights and sirens, running code as fast as I can to get back to where this other incident is taking place. And it happened so fast from the moment that I got there. I get there and I run into my partner and I ask him, okay, where exactly is it at? He tells me, points to the house up the street. I mean, there's nothing going on out there. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I grab my rifle, I walk up the road, and I see one of my SWAT partners. He's prone out over the hood of a car, and I've worked with him enough to know that if he's acting like that, this is serious. And I just wasn't there for the crazy portion of it to begin with. Like, okay,
right,
this is serious.
You show me, you're like, oh, it's that kind of party.
Yeah, I was like, huh. So we're gonna get down. All right, cool.
Oh, this got real. Yeah, this got real fucking quick.
Yeah, I saw my buddy. I was like, okay, if you're acting like that, this isn't a joke. Mm-hmm. And I can see everybody's engaged in the threat. So I take a step back and I'm looking, okay, I'm gonna have to run the show and try to get people in certain places and make sure that we're all safe. And no sooner do I take a step back and I look to my right, the suspect pops out and he says something, but I don't hear it. And he goes back in the house. I'm like, okay, well, I hear, okay, he came out, he went back in, whatever. Well, there was this giant tree that cast this huge shadow over him. So he comes back out and he's just standing there and he's looking left and right, and he looks right at me. And before I know it, he pulls out a double barrel shotgun from behind his back and he lights off both barrels. Luckily enough for us, it was birdshot. And it hit the car that I was standing behind. So, of course, we return fire, and he ends up not dying. He's in prison. He keeps trying to get out on parole, but that's kind of how that one went.
Right.
We end up taking him into custody, but the failure that takes place is afterwards. As you stated, there's policies and procedures for, deadly force incidents. Sure. Certain things that are supposed to take place, and none of those things took place.
Can you talk about what some of those things are?
Absolutely. The way that our policy is written is any officer that uses deadly force, whether it results in death or not, you're supposed to be a full, what they call a CIT done. It's a crisis intervention team. So a team of investigators comes out. You have what you call a gatekeeper, takes you back to the station. They kind of take your weapon, you get processed.
Right.
You're supposed to be given some time off. You're supposed to be able to speak to a therapist and allowed some time to decompress and, work through what you just had to do, and then requal. And then when time is right and you get cleared, you come back to work. The way this was handled was, all right, you're going to go back to the station. You're going to write a report and we'll see you here tomorrow.
Oh, fuck. Can I pause you for a second?
Absolutely.
I dealt with the same fucking shit after my shooting. I don't know if Tom dealt with the same thing, but that's what the lieutenant popped up to me, and I was boys with this lieutenant. Like, me and him were friends, and well, as friendly as you can be with a lieutenant. It's not like we went out and had drinks or anything like that, but we were friendly. And I looked at him and he was like, "Hey man, so just to let you know, I'll see you here tomorrow." This was after being up over 24 hours, after giving my statement, having lawyers there, being up all fucking day, over 24 hours. And I was like, pump the brakes, stop it. I'm taking my fucking 2 weeks. 1.
Right.
2, I just shot someone for you, bro. Like, I got shot at. I shot him back to save my partner's life and the citizen's life. What the fuck? No. And honestly, everybody there who's at the incident should at least have a few days off to decompress what they were just involved in, what they just witnessed, what just happened to them. And from everybody that was involved, because I spoke up and I said the fucking right shit, because I knew about it, because my best friend had been involved in one of the other former host of the show, John, who's my fucking best friend, like brother to me. He was involved in a shooting. He had already spoke to me about it, and we had kind of talked and shit like that. So I had kind of knew, like, the aspects, like the route to follow. And I spoke up, and I was like, dude, no fucking way. There's no way I'm mentally ready to come back tomorrow. Plus, I haven't even spoke to the shrink yet. No fucking way. And everybody else needs to speak to that shrink, and everybody else should have at least a few days off. I'm not saying 2 weeks, but maybe give them the fucking next 3 days. Maybe let them take line up some days off and let them have a week off, because they're not going to be solid when they come back. They're going to be constantly worrying. And I spoke to everybody that next night, and they all took off early because they couldn't do it, because of the anxiety and stress was so high on one fucking call. And they all went to it, and they all, after it, were like, nope, we're done. We can't. And they had the wherewithal to know, hey, I can't fucking do this. This is going to end poorly if we keep going tonight. And
well, mine was a little different because I was not even in my own jurisdiction. I was in somebody else's jurisdiction, and we were on our way home from an operation. So we were still on duty, but driving an hour and a half back from where we were at. So I got I got pulled in like an everyday suspect and put in an interrogation room and sat down and all that stuff. But they treated me with respect, like a cop. They had my rep there. They did all that. I will tell you, the agency that handled the investigation portion of it, because it wasn't my agency, was nails. It was fine. They were great, but there was other shit that we weren't aware of. They were like, "Oh, hey, so you knew about what? What did you know ahead of time?" I'm like, "We didn't know shit. This guy just opened fire on us." And they're like, "Oh, timeout. We didn't know you didn't know what was going on. We thought you were there on purpose. You were there on, So we went through that whole rigmarole. It took like 13 hours to get it squared away, and then we drove home in the dead of night after being up for 24 hours, like Chuck said. But I will tell you, the moment I went, was when I called my agency and I spoke to the lieutenant, acting chief at the time. And I told him, I said, we just got in a shooting. And he goes, okay, are you good? And I said, and I'm young. I'm 3 years on the job. And I'm like, yeah, I think so.
I'm fucking solid, bro. I'm good. Right.
Yeah. And he goes, okay, do you need anything? Do you need a rep or anything? I'm like, I got my partners here. So no.
It was the same
like,
way,
okay,
dude.
see you when you get home. And then they said, take a couple of days off, go to the shrink, come back to work. And that was it.
Days, right?
That was the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I was dispatched back to that same house the following day on my next shift, which was
what the fuck? So you actually showed back up to work?
Yeah, they said come back. I wrote my report. I went home when my shift was over, and I came back to work the next day. Went to roll call. Was dispatched back.
Oh my god!
To that same fucking house,
brother. And, I'm so sorry you went.
The partner that Well, I'm standing in front of this house and my hand's shaking because
Oh
I mean,
my
fuck, I'm
God.
like, you have 5 years on. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to be one of the boys, one of the tough guys, right? And
Yeah.
clearly not. And my partner, he saw me. He's like, "Go stand over here," and he kind of pushed me over to the street, the sidewalk next to the driveway. And so that's how the first one went down. And I can talk about my symptoms and all the things if you'd like from there, and we can kind of show you how it progressed and it got worse as time went on. So I didn't go see anybody. I didn't talk to nobody. I went to my family doctor and told him what was going on. They're like, "Oh, you've got anxiety." I'm like, well, yeah, no shit, right?
No fucking shit.
Right.
So they put me on some very light anti-anxiety meds, and then here we are rolling. I'm just cruising along back to work.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Before you keep going, from what I have understood and in research through anxiety and what it does to the brain, and I could be fucking wrong, but from the research that I have done, anxiety chemically disrupts your brain after a prolonged period of time of constant anxiety and constant stress. It can actually change the neural pathways in your brain and restructure your brain and cause you to fucking have things that you've never had before. And it's all neurological up in your noggin. And so a prolonged period of stress and anxiety that never gets dealt with is very dangerous.
Well, we're gonna get into into
so let's jump into that.
So I'm sorry.
No, I said if we're gonna get into it, let's jump into it.
Well, that's kind of the what made me go get help after the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I had some plans to kill some people.
Well, let me ask you this: do you want to talk us through the second and third? Do you want to talk us through the third, or do you just want to skip to the aftermath of the third?
No, we'll go through all of them because I think it all is important on how it all played out and how I got to where I was.
So your doctor said you had severe anxiety or whatever, and you're like, okay, yeah, I do have anxiety. It's, it's pretty rough. And obviously, I just fucking shot someone.
Mm-hmm. And they were. What happened after that?
Yeah.
I went back to work.
Damn,
great.
Just cruising. I mean, all right, I'm back to work. Like I'm just.
So from that point forward, before your second shooting, what was the shit that was happening to you at work? Like, what were the instances you're dealing with? Were you less light? Were you more apt to have to be angry, or?
I was angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was mad.
Really short tempered. Yeah.
Oh, very, very.
Yeah.
And
I feel you.
It just kept getting worse as time went on, to where it was out of control. But it was a year later, almost. Yeah, exactly a year later when I was in the second shooting.
Quick?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Now that one they handled appropriately as far as abiding by policy and giving me the time off and going to see the shrink, but they coach you on what to say to the shrink. They tell you what to say so that you can get yourself back to work.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. And it's not official, right? It's everybody going, hey, I've been there, man. Just make sure you tell them. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's none of it is like the chief pulling you in or the captain pulling you in and saying, this is what I want you to tell the shrink, right? It's never that overt. It's always this.
Up.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's
so fucked up.
It is. I don't understand it. It makes me incredibly angry, to be honest with you, that we treat these people who are going out there on a daily basis. They're putting their lives on the line to protect and serve. And when something goes bad and they have to do the worst thing that the officers have to do, they have to shoot somebody, have to take a life. We don't give them the care that they deserve. And it's infuriating to me. Because I'm an example. Like I had all these grand plans for my career, and now it's just gone before I'm prepared. If I get a little emotional, I'm sorry. I'm still going through it.
Dude, brother, that's okay. We're here for that. And if you get dude, we've both gotten emotional over this shit. I mean, to be quite fucking honest, after the shit has cut, sometimes when we've done episodes, I've bawled out in tears, dude. I was completely fucked. I didn't know it was happening. It is what it is. It happens. We're fucking human beings, like you said. Right. We're human beings, and it's okay to show emotion and work through those fucking emotions. Men have emotions.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're not pussies. We fucking have emotions, dude. Like,
so the Bamboo Telegraph coaches you through that shrink appointment. And how are you feeling about? Because I remember going to and I went to a cop specialist shrink. I drove like 3 hours to get there, blah, 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 blah. And I remember him telling me all the things I wanted to hear. Right. But I remember leaving there feeling like, yeah, but still having that peach pit in my stomach. Right. And I want to say this. Oh, go ahead.
No, ours didn't tell me nothing. It was like it had like a sheet. And she said, Are you sleeping? Yeah, I'm sleeping. You okay? I'm fine. You know, whatever I needed to say for her to write down that I'm cool and I could come back to work. And they all told me what was fixing to happen. So I knew exactly what to tell her so she would let me go.
Yeah. Well, it's like passing your psych, right? To get hired. When they say I loved my father, true or false, you say true. And when they say I'm fascinated by fire, you say false. Right. Like
exactly.
It's like, you know, but
I mean, that one wasn't that bad as far as that stuff, but I had a captain there who was intent on charging me with homicide because I was the first officer in Colorado to get into a shooting after Senate Bill 217.
What's
so
Senate
I got
Bill
the
217?
It gets rid of qualified immunity in Colorado.
God.
So in California, we were freaking out because we saw you boys get hit with the qualified immunity thing. We're like, oh fuck, it's gone. And so I have so many questions on that. Like, fuck, what did that do to your mindset? And then you get into that shooting and fucking how did that impact?
So for me, I always was like, it didn't really have much effect on how I did things day to day. Because in my opinion, as long as you're doing the right thing, then you should be fine. Right. But there was a lot of talk about, well, you're going to get into a shooting because you pulled this guy over for registration tabs. Like, well, yeah, I pulled him over for the tabs, but I got into a shooting because he pulled a gun on me. Right? That's completely different. I didn't walk shoot him because his tabs were expired. What the fuck are you talking about?
Like the PC for the stop, right? They're saying, you know, the PC for the stop changes the math, and I'm like, no, fuckers, it does not change the math, right?
And so like guys that would do shit all day long because they didn't want to put themselves in that situation.
They turn into the fire department.
For me, I mean, for my mindset when that happened is for 5 weeks, I'm sitting at home waiting for them to come take me to jail. And I called my parents like, hey, this is what the union president said this guy's trying to do. Like, if they come and get me, I'm gonna need help.
Right. And then they're like, oh, just kidding.
Well, the DA, I guess, came in and told him to stop. You don't have a case. And so, I mean, I don't, So luckily.
What does that do to your fucking morale that your own agency, you're like, we're worried your own agency is going to hang you out to dry and fucking just crucify you to make an example or whatever the
morale.
fuck.
What does that do to your psyche?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's both.
I mean, I was already a mess from the first one and not really getting the help I needed. And that one didn't help. And I just, like I said, I got more and more pissed off as time went on. And
understandably,
I did everything I could to get off the street. I took a job in the training division. I got lucky enough that the guy that was there, I think he was getting promoted out of that spot. And I had a good enough reputation that I was able to apply and get off the street for only a year. But I don't know that I would have made it. I don't know that I would have made it through the year if I didn't get off the street.
Right.
Because I was, I mean, I tried to go to, they have this EAP, like therapy.
Assistance. Yeah.
Yeah. And I talked to one of them for like 3 sessions. And I was like, this fucking lady can't help me. Like, we didn't do anything for the 3 sessions. I was like, oh, well, I guess this is just how I am now. I mean, there's no help for me. I tried. That's right. So
sorry, brother. That sucks, dude.
I mean, but the sad thing is particularly with this agency, my story isn't unique.
No, it's not. That's the fucked up part.
Right. And there needs to be more conversation and more light needs to be shined on this issue because we're going to lose outstanding cops all the time because of this exact thing. And
I'm curious to see with the new political administration if there's any movement on this. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
And ineptitude of agencies just fucking breeds incompetence and fucking bullshit, and it all flows downhill, and it fucks the officers at the bottom doing the fucking Lord's work, you know. And Dude, there's so much I could fucking say on that. I'm just gonna bite my tongue.
So now you get in your third one.
Oh, yeah. Right. So the third one, that's the roughest one for me. I'll do my best to get through this because now I'm a sergeant. I'm a sergeant. Okay. I'm on a SWAT. So when I was in that training position, the reason I left is I got promoted. I got promoted before I was even 8 years on the department.
And I'm sure that time in the training, you started feeling better, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I can make sergeant. It'll be easier. I'll be less hands on. I'll be able to fucking garner my guys and tell them, hey, this is what we got to do, and kind of sit back and watch and be the IC." I'm sure that didn't work out the way that you thought it was.
No, I was never going to be the sit back type. I spent more time on the street running calls with them and getting into more shit that I probably had no business doing because I'm the sergeant, but I don't know another way to be the police. I'm going to do it this way.
So your goon side was coming out.
Y'all straight goon side, bro. I'm original OG 4 green goon. That's the way we used to classify ourselves. So yeah, I get up. So we now I'm the sergeant. There's a call. Guy's got guns. He's outside his girlfriend's house. He says, call the cops or I'm gonna start shooting. So we sit back and I show up on scene and everything. I start making a plan about how we're going to approach this and get eyes on. And one of my snipers is there and he's been in several shootings himself. So the easy answer is to make him lethal, right? Because I know that he can do it. He has all the skills. I was on sniper team with him and I'm going to send him around the corner. He's going to be the lethal guy. So before I can finish setting
solid tactical plan.
Right. Before I can finish giving everybody exactly what they're going to do, bad guy, he starts approaching neighbors' houses. Now he's going to start shooting up the neighborhood. So I tell him, I said, I was like, let's roll. So we roll around the corner and we end up shooting him. And because he puts weapons in our direction and we kind of don't have a choice. The hard part for me on this one is I'm standing there and I know that I just put this guy.
It's all right, man.
All right, brother.
I know I just put this guy in a position to take somebody's life. And I still have a lot of guilt because there ain't no reason why I couldn't have done it myself. I feel bad for telling him to do it when I could have done it myself. It wasn't my job, but I know that was the right thing to do. But I still have, I've been in shootings. He's been in shootings. Now I'm making him do it again. And that was a struggle.
But I'll say this, Dustin, he signed up for it too.
Yeah,
he did. And he's a fucking outstanding guy.
Right.
And your tactical plan is sound.
And you cannot break yourself over, number one, the fact that bad guys are going to do bad guy shit, right? Action beats reaction.
Yeah.
And I know you know all this stuff, but I'm going to say it for the guys that are listening to this that are kind of feeling what you're feeling. Bad guys are going to do bad guy shit. Everything we do, we don't execute people. We don't go proactively and murk people, right? As much as we would like to. I lobbied. I said, can we have roadside executions with watch commander approval? I pointed a gun at a dude one time and he goes, fucking kill me. And I looked at the sergeant and I said, is that consent?
Right.
That would stop so much shit in its tracks.
Correct. That did. Honestly, I swear to God, the guy had a baseball bat. I pointed my gun at him and he goes, fucking kill me then. And I out loud looked at the sergeant. I said, Sarge, is that consent? And the guy's eyes went this fucking big and see him doing the math in his mind. Wait, did I just fucking consent? Hold on.
Let me rethink this.
Right.
Honestly, I wish you could pop a warning shot off and be like, hey, he said it. I just want to scare the fuck out of him. And he's like, okay, like, no.
Right. I mean, warning shots.
I need you to understand what you're signing up for, homie.
But the thing is like we talk about this for the military guys as well. When we talk about, people going through shit when they deploy, nobody that joined the military, well, not nobody, most people that joined the military joined up to go get in some shit. And if you send them to do some shit, we don't have the draft. Anybody that's in the military signed up. Yeah. And I guarantee you 80% of them are like, fuck yeah, here I am, Lord, send me. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The difference, I think, and people forget about this, right? You can serve in the military, deploy overseas, and get in a gun battle and murk 3 or 4 people. You can murk more people than you can count. Like, you can smoke a bunch of people, and it's You'll never see them. You never know who they are. Right? I mean, like they're at a distance, right? When police officers shoot somebody, first of all, they're not shooting an enemy combatant. They're shooting an American citizen.
It gets personal.
Typically, right? Or they're shooting somebody who's right. They're shooting a member of their own country, and they're doing it up close and personal. Yeah. This is not happening in a vacuum. This is not happening at a distance. This is not happening building to building in combat over a war zone. This is happening because you are like, dude, I just want you to put these handcuffs on and get in the fucking car.
I don't want to do this, man. Like, this sucks. Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so they do bad guy shit. They force your hand. We react. We don't execute people. We kill people that need killing, right? That ask for it, right? Fuck around and find out. That's our motto.
Right.
And then your boy, he's one of those 80%, man. He signed up. And here's the thing. If I was your boy and you got into shit without me,
war, you're taking that guy with you.
Yeah, and I would be kicking my own ass for not standing right fucking next to you and putting rounds down range to keep you safe. So as much as you're sitting here going, fuck, I put my boy in that position, and I know what he's now going through because of it, and I did that to him. He's going, fuck, man, I'm glad I was there with you because I know you've been through this twice before. And number one, if I'm going to have to go through it with somebody, I'm going to go through it with you because you're my boy. And number two, there's no way I would let you go through this by yourself. I was there to help. So just remember that, people. You didn't do it to them. They signed up for it, and they knew what the bill was going to be like when the fucking check came after dinner.
Yeah, we all signed up to be the guardian angel that people need in their worst time of need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To come there and protect them with our own body and our own fucking image and our authority. We came there to protect those that need to be protected. And sometimes the best laid plan can go to shit, even if it's the fucking only options. The best fucking plan that you could ever think of can always fall apart and go to shit. And it's not anything on you. It's not anything on them. It's just humans are fucking unpredictable fucking creatures, and bad guys do bad guy shit, like we've said. And they're fucking unpredictable. You know what I mean? The best laid plan is just sometimes.
So here you are with your boy. You guys get put in this position, and I won't say you put anybody. You get put in this position. It was all there. This guy's action.
Put you there.
Your suspect put you there.
Yeah.
You guys have to do the Lord's work. You take care of business. At any point in your life, and I'm laughing about this, but I'm dead serious. Is there any point in your career where you go, "Fuck, are you kidding me again?"
Well, yeah, right then. I'm like, God, God damn it. Like again? Because I was always one of those deals like, oh, I'll never be in a shooting. My tactics are good. I'll be able to fuck no, dude. It was just like one right after the other, it seemed like. And this one was particularly tough because I had to tell somebody else. And then it got, like we talked about, like you said, the guys that were all there, they got some time off. Well, our police chief shows up and I walk up to him with the list of who's involved. And then we have the peripheral officers, the ones that were standing there when it happened. They're supposed to be afforded a couple of days off as well. He doesn't even have the balls to tell me, because he's a fucking coward. He tells the sergeant that his position is that we can't allow all these people off who were on scene during the shooting.
That's bullshit.
I don't give a shit if you can or can't.
Yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit. But
get the sheriff's department to cover the fucking city.
Yeah, dude. We've done that with a fucking officer that fucking perished. The whole division took off because they all had personal connections with the officer who perished in the line of duty. We fucking figured it out. The whole city figured it out. We covered. We allowed those officers to have that decompression.
Now this motherfucker showed up on scene and didn't even have he was too much of a coward to tell me himself that he wasn't going to allow everybody their time. He had the acting captain tell me. And so the acting
captain's like, really, boss? Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I just meant if you're an acting captain, you can't say shit. You're an acting captain. The chief.
Right.
I mean, even if you were the regular captain, an order is an order. But at least a regular captain could push back a little bit on the chief, maybe if he had a fucking spine.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the last one. I went up there with a list of the 6 guys that were there and the one that was in the shooting. And
I know it's gonna be hard, bro, but can you walk us through what happened in that shooting?
You mean
the last
how
one?
so? Like
Well, you did.
What happened prior? What happened after?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah.
My shit cut out. I'm so sorry.
No, yeah, we got it.
Oh, okay, cool.
No worries. Yeah. So afterwards, I've got the scene secure, and I've got the streets all blocked off, and I've got everything squared away. That's when I walk up to him and the acting captain. Like, these are the guys that were right there. This is the primary officer. Well, then he tells me what he says, and like, all right. So I get the primary officer out. I walk over to the other 4 or 5 of the guys that were standing there that were the peripheral officers, and I tell them what happened. And they try not to have a reaction. They look at me, they look at him over my shoulder, and they just kind of, all right, whatever. And then we go back to handling our business.
So the way I put it is, in law enforcement, sometimes the boss tells you what the boss tells you, and then you go, oh, so fuck us. Got it. Okay. Just checking.
That's pretty much how I felt.
Yeah.
And then for me, I mean, there were 2 more shootings that I was first on scene as a sergeant. One of them was a really good friend of mine. I got hired with him, and I'm sitting there just watching him freak out. And then there was another one with a team that I created to combat like homelessness and things like that. They got kind of ambushed, and one of them took a couple of birdshot rounds, one to the face, one to the hip. I'm first on there, and it just went downhill real quick for me after that.
Right.
Sure.
So the trauma is just getting compounded on top of trauma.
Yeah.
Compounded. And you're like, fuck, no one's helping me. Fucking doctors don't want to fucking help me. No one wants to help me. The department's fucking like leaving me out to dry. And I gotta say one thing. My agency, we developed a peer support group and counselor, and I'm part of it. And I have to even tell you, that is even just fucking like, we have some leeway, but like, to be quite honest, it's so behind the fucking curve. It should have been created like 30 years ago. So it's so behind that
we have a peer support team, but they're
You have to be careful what you tell the peer support team, though, too.
Well, yeah, because like that's still, you haven't even been interviewed, so you can't really talk.
I'm like clergy, at least I have a protection. I'm like clergy. If you tell me something, as long as it's not fucking major misconduct, you're not like fucking burying hookers and killing them, shit doesn't leave my fucking lips, dude. You could fucking subpoena the fuck out of me. I'm like, I'm bound by a attorney an attorney-client privilege or whatever the fuck, or doctor-patient privacy. Like, it's similar to shit. But yeah, honestly, it's so behind the fucking times, and it needs to evolve. And I'm assuming your peer support's probably the same shit. Probably behind the fucking times. They're just.
I think they have good intentions. I just don't think they're really equipped to understand what people are going through. Because if I remember right, maybe it's changed, but the majority of them really haven't been a part of any of this. So they just kind of show up and sit there awkwardly at the table with you while you wait to get processed. And
fucking sucks.
Some of them talk too much. Some of them sit there awkward and don't know what to do to you. And it's just like, what the just, you're not I don't even know you. Like, bro, thanks for being here. But if I want somebody with me, I want one of the guys who I went to war with me. I don't want you. I don't know you. So that was, like, like I said, they probably have good intentions, but it just, I don't think the program is really very effective.
Yeah. So you get through that one, and now you're at the point you said earlier that as a result, you started having feelings of killing other people.
Yeah. So as I learn more about this, the PTSD, it really affects everybody individually different.
Yes.
Some people get suicidal. Some people, one of them, he would create problems so that he could fix them. I made him feel a certain way. And then others end up like me, where you end up like homicidal, basically. You're just pissed off at the world, and every little thing would, it's funny now, but it wasn't at the time to think of the time. I read an email that I didn't like, and I would be ready to beat people's ass just for no reason. It's an email, or somebody said something to me I didn't like, and I would fly off the handle for no reason. I'd use excessive force and just smash people for no reason at all. It's just like, I don't need to be here doing this, but I just did not have the capacity to manage my emotions anymore. I was just
your
so
cup
over.
was full.
Yeah, the cup runneth over.
Yeah, it was fucking spewing out, and you hadn't fucking. I'm sure you had some idea when it was starting to get there, but You're like, fuck it, no one wants to help me. It's just gonna fucking start overflowing. And when it starts overflowing on fucking everything.
Yeah, and they would be, oh, you're angry. Like, you're angry.
Yes.
You're angry. Like,
Yes.
you're fucking right. I am. Like, there's a reason why. And yeah. So it got to a point where there were a few people, and I mentioned one of them, that I had a plan. And I remember the day I was sitting there. I said, I signed up to possibly give my life for the betterment of other people, and I feel like if these people were gone, everybody's life would be better. And I just did what I signed up to do. And I've never been a religious person up until this point, but something stopped me that day. And I went and I got help, and I went through, 6, 7, 8 months of EMDR, and it just turned my whole life around.
What's
How was
EMDR
that for you? You don't know EMDR?
What is that?
Oh, please explain, Dustin. We had a guest on early on in this podcast who had experienced some real PTSD shit overseas. It's eye movement desensitization reprocessing, right?
Yeah. So the way what I did is she would give me these little paddles, and they would vibrate back and forth in your hand, and you would go back into the memory of whatever incident that you are having issues with, and you would just go through it just over and over and over and over until you can, really process all of your emotions. And it took, and I remember the day, that last one was the toughest. And I always thought that I didn't really have issues from the other one up until now, because I just never dealt with it. But I remember the day that I had a breakthrough on that third one. It literally felt like 1,000 pounds being lifted off of my shoulders. It was just, I felt amazing. It was like, holy crap. Like, where did I actually, I was sitting there in the chair, and I remember I dropped him. I go, holy shit. Like, it surprised me because it just felt so good. I watched it all just like wash off of me. It was amazing.
Wow.
I mean, I've heard stories about EMDR being highly, highly effective.
That's powerful, dude.
And I mean, I'll tell anybody suffering with PTSD, if I was back, if this was 10 years ago when I was going through retirement, I would have tried anything, and I would have definitely tried EMDR. I didn't even know what it was until I already been retired 5 years, and I was 5 or 6 years doing an episode of the show at John's house, and a friend of his came in and talked about it, and he was talking about how life-changing it was. Wow. So for any of you out there struggling, I would recommend giving it a shot. Because if Dustin's telling you it works, and I don't know if I should say this. He's been on the show. If Jeremiah says it works, like, then go for it. So you going through the MDR and going through all that, what was the because I know for me what the linchpin was. I hit the year mark, and in my state, in California, you have a year to get back. And if you hit that year and you're not ready to get back, the department has one of two options. They can extend you and put you on light duty, or they can do whatever they need to do to keep you on the books and let you heal.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have the option to say, well, fuck him, then he's got to put in for retirement, because we're not going to keep him past a year. We're only obligated to keep his job for him a year. We've hit that year. We're not keeping his job for him. So at that point, your only choice is to put in for medical retirement.
Right.
So actually, how it was for you?
I went back to work. I went back to work for 3 weeks, because my whole goal was I wanted to go back.
Right. Understandable.
Now things started to occur that I couldn't pull my gun out of my holster. I was terrified. I was terrified to go to calls. I was terrified to, I remember my hand just shaking, and it wasn't even a lethal force call. It was just a regular it was like a traffic accident, I think. And I'm standing there, and I'm so overwhelmed, and my hand is shaking, and I knew right then I'm going to get myself or somebody else killed because I no longer have the capacity to pull with my gun out and engage in lethal force. It's just, if that presents itself, I can tell by the way I'm feeling now, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to be scared about what the department's going to do to me because of what they've done so far. I'm going to be terrified of what my emotions are going to look like afterwards because I've done all this work to get to here. I don't think I can do this, and I don't want to cost any of my brothers or sisters their life because I'm not right.
Right.
So
yeah,
I went back to the treatment that I was receiving and kind of told her what was happening. She just said, "You're done, man."
Yeah,
you're done.
It's similar.
Yeah.
I went to my doc.
Yep.
And we were talking, and one of the questions he had for me was, so let me ask you this: because he wrote it up. He says, 2-3 years of treatment work, doing the things, he'll be back to work, he'll be functional. And I knew a couple of facts were, I knew a couple of things were facts. I knew that one, if I went back to my agency, I'd always have a red A on my chest, right? For seeking help. I knew that 2, I would probably never be able to lateral. I'd be almost poisoned to promote. And if I did go anywhere, I'd have to find a agency that was desperate to take a chance on me. Right.
Yeah.
And there was not a really good path forward. Right. And he told me, he says, this is what I think. I think you can do the job again. I just think it's going to take a little time. And I said, okay, great. How much? And he told me, and I said, well, I doubt my agency is going to give me that much time. He goes, I have another question for you though, before I say that. And I said, what? And he goes, is this whole thing going to go through your mind again? If you get into a situation where you think you might have to, where you have to pull your gun and might have to use deadly force, do you think that you will probably consider, or at least the events of what's happening to you right now will go through your mind? I said, oh, fucking absolutely. There's no way it can't 100%. Not go through my mind.
Yeah.
He goes, then you can't, he says, then you can't ever work for that agency again.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'll sign off that you can be a cop again, but there is no world in which you can successfully psychologically work for that agency again because of the amount of betrayal. Because they tried to tell me it wasn't work related. They tried to, there was dude, it was crazy. I had supervisors that wrote glowing commendations in my jacket, tell me what a piece of shit I was. I had a guy, I introduced this dude to his wife, and he told me we were never friends and that I was faking it.
That's such bullshit. That's that fucking machismo
I've heard that too,
attitude, bro.
I'm faking it. I'm faking this.
I
was back there. Yeah, I was back there earlier this week because my sergeant partner, I just love him to death, and I wanted to surprise him. So I go back to the department. He tells me, like, yeah, man, some of these I've heard there's telling, because we eat our own, right? That's
of course we do.
You explain it, and they got guys that are talking
culture, dude.
I'm faking it, and it's like I don't think so, man. Not fucking faking it.
This is what I wanted to happen.
Right. This was my grand plan all along.
My career.
Yeah. It's almost like they're like, oh, you're not faking it. What you want me to do? Eat my fucking gun? Like, is that proof enough for you motherfuckers? Yeah. Like, it angers me to such a fucking end because it's happened to my partner, and it kind of happened to me. Like, after my shooting, I was out for 3 fucking weeks. The shrink wouldn't release me.
Yeah.
Even when I got released back to work, she wouldn't release me to field duty. She fucking said, no.
But it's a no fucking win, dude. Because the people that say you're faking it, the people that say you're faking it, if you come back to work and you go to work a shift with them, they're going to talk shit about you behind your back and say you need to be on the rubber gun squad. Right? Like, fuck you guys, right? I'll tell you this. This is how bad it got. This is how contentious it got at my agency. I received the report from the investigator, right? I received the report from the investigator who went out and interviewed everybody involved in this shit. Mm-hmm. And in it, people that I considered my friends completely fucking made statements that backstabbed me. I was never a very good cop. I that. Like, it was like I was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And these are people I'd been to the lake with and been on their boats with. And one guy, I talked him through his divorce, and when his daughter had been sexually victimized by his ex-wife's new husband, and like I was there, like these are friends of mine, and they're shit talking me in this report, right? So of course this was, Facebook's a thing, right? So all I posted was, people better be careful what they say, because you never know when the person they're talking shit about is going to get to read it.
Right.
I fucking shit you not. Within an hour, I got a call on my cell phone from the chief, and he told me, well, that post can be, some people think it's threatening.
Oh, fuck you.
What?
Yeah.
He goes,
eat a dick, bro.
We talked around it for a good 5 or 10 minutes. And at the end of the conversation, I just simply said, Chief, I have one question. Are you ordering me to take it down? And he goes, yes, I'm ordering you to take fine, fuck you. And I took it down. That was the last time I ever spoke to him on the phone. Next time I saw him was in the fucking retirement process. And I handed him 3 envelopes. Well, 4. I said, one's for you, and the other 3 have the names of the people that I wrote them to. You're free to open them up and read them before you give them to him. You cannot. You can give them to him. You cannot give them to him. But these are my parting thoughts. You all can go fuck yourself.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So,
yeah.
I still talk to my guys. I still talk to the ones that really were my friends.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with a lot of cops. There's a lot of people that know who I was and how I worked.
Yeah.
And the rest of them,
buddies, but
fuck them.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, the whole culture of eat your own is just so fucked, dude, because it does a disservice to the fucking to everybody who's out injured. It's just fucking it's dog shit, dude.
I don't know if it's like a jealousy thing, or if they're just mad that they're having to work and the other people aren't, or if it makes them feel better that they're still there. I don't get it.
I don't either. I mean, I would think, like, for me, if somebody says, and I had a guy that I was his mentor. I was his police explorer advisor. He became a cop. He got in a shooting like literally 11 months after I did. He ended up medically retiring. Well, long story short, he was going through some shit, and the department put him out on a fitness for duty. And everybody else was like, well, fuck him. He's figured out. He's fucking around and he's doing stupid shit, and this is what he gets. He's young and he's immature. And I'm like, no, dude, he's struggling, right? He's fucking, the guy was, under 24 years old, and he had already performed CPR on a 3-day-old, a 3-month-old, and a 3-year-old, and shot and killed somebody.
Jesus Christ.
In less than 3 years on the job.
Wow.
That's a lot of fucking trauma to deal with in 3 fucking years.
And at 24, goodness gracious.
Yeah. Your fucking brain is so fucked at that point. Like, you're just, unless you're receiving qualified help, then you're really getting it. And you're not. That's the thing is, you're not.
Yeah. No.
Most of these therapists don't know how to deal with that shit. And then
I still miss the job.
Yeah, I
that's the shittiest part. I miss getting in the fucking super suit and getting in the Batmobile and putting on my utility belt and going out and doing the fucking Lord's work. I don't miss the politics. I don't miss the paperwork. I miss doing the job.
I mean, my favorite days. But yeah, the brotherhood. But I loved it when it was utter chaos. We've got.
I 100%.
God, yes, I miss it.
Yes, I miss putting handcuffs on people.
Yeah,
I miss wrestling with people. I miss chasing people code 3. I miss pointing guns at people and telling them to shut the fuck up, right? And I miss it. I miss it not in that like power trippy way, because I was never a power trippy cop. I was always the cop you wanted to get, right? I miss it because I was doing the things that you're supposed to do to keep society civil. I was doing the things that were keeping people safe. I was able to look a woman in the eye and say, he's not going to hit you again tonight. And if you
guardian, bro.
Yeah. So, anyway, well,
that's been a very, very tough, probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, if not the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, is I think grieving the loss of the career before I was ready. I mean, I always associated like the gym with work, because you got a SWAT guy. We're the only ones that have a PT test. So I'm in there and it's work focused. And man, for like months after I knew this was over, I'm in the gym working out and I'm fucking crying. I have to leave because I'm embarrassed that I'm having this emotional breakdown because this is just what I associated with the job. It's gotten better now, but yeah, man, I mean, the amount of time that I spent just working through the emotions of it being gone is, God, months and months and months. But yeah, God, I mean, yeah, definitely miss.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely miss it.
Well,
Yeah, for
Dustin,
sure.
I am in the same boat with you, and I know Chuck is. We're pulling up to the dock, and Chuck's standing there on the dock with his luggage because he's. How far are you away from turning in your shit?
Couple months, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on the doctor's shit to come through, and then to the board, and then to have my board meeting, which is already tentatively set. So once that happens, it's like 2, maybe 3 months to just fucking done. It's just, and it sucks too because the fucking your own department who you give a fuck about and you really care. I mean, you don't really care about the fucking people now retired, but you give a fuck about the people on the ground, your brothers and your sisters, and you care about helping other people that they can't help. And that's, I think, the hardest fucking part. And like you said, grieving the
100%.
fucking loss before it even fucking happens, that's the hardest part. Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. I'm at the very fucking tail end of it, and it's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And what kicks you in the dick the most is wanting to go back and having days where you're like, I'm fucking golden, dude. I feel like I can get back there. And the next day you get kicked in the fucking dick and you're like, the fuck you are.
Right.
You feel like you're on the fucking ground and you're like, fuck, dude, someone help me. And you're just,
I have
so
literally had
defeating.
dreams post-retirement. I've had dreams where I find myself back at the station suiting up again after all the shit I've been through and being like, being nervous and being like, I'm so excited to get to do this one more time. But what is everybody going to say? How are people going to treat me? And then, like, I'm processing all those emotions of wanting to still do the job, but having people treat me like dog shit when I was
a fucking leper, bro.
Help. Yeah. So, well, Dustin, we appreciate you sharing all that shit with us. It's. I mean, I honestly, I think this stuff is hard to talk about, but it's important to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I wanted to do it. It's kind of that redheaded stepchild. Nobody likes to address it because it's tough. But I mean, anybody who's been through any of this, just like you guys and me, it's important that we do talk about it so that there is somebody out there struggling.
Yeah,
man, you're not alone, man. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to bring up. I don't know if it makes because they think that they're going to be looked at. Well, they probably will be looked at like they're weak or whatever the case may be. But
100%.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself because, I mean, my agency
job doesn't love you.
No, they don't love you back.
Your agency doesn't love you.
You're a fucking number, dude.
100%.
Don't love anything that doesn't love you back. And
couldn't have said it better myself.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have your eyes on life outside of law enforcement, when you inevitably lose your career, whether it's by your own choice or by somebody else's, you will have nothing.
The best way I can describe it is like a toxic ex.
Yeah.
At one point, you guys loved each other. And there are times during your fights where they love you. But then there are times where they fucking beat you down to a fucking bloody pulp and you have nowhere else to go. And you're like, what the fuck? And then they're like, oh, but I still love you. And you're like, okay, come back to it. It's just a toxic it's a toxic environment. It's a toxic relationship. And not every agency is like that. There are a lot of really good agencies, but the ones that put the politicking and shit before the officers are the ones that are having this biggest issue. And it's just a fucking toxic environment.
I think it comes down to people. It comes down to leadership. If you have the right leaders in place,
it is 100% leadership. 100%.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, man.
Well, so just as we close up, we always give our guests a chance to dedicate their episode to someone. Do you have a dedication, or would you like us to provide?
I mean, I think I just dedicate it to all the. I mean, I dedicate it to everybody, man. All the men and women that are still going out there every single day and strapping on their boots and putting on their vest, and they're, like you said, doing the Lord's work, man. I couldn't be more thankful and proud of each and every one of you. Like I said, I miss the job. I wish I could still be out there doing it. I just can't. But I'm happy you guys are.
Yeah. Well, and if you're okay with me, but also piggybacking on that and providing a dedication of my own, would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome, brother. So I'm also going to dedicate this episode to Jesus Vargas. He's a deputy sheriff. He was shot and killed while serving a warrant at Stella Link Road, north of Interstate 610 in Houston at 11:30 a.m. When Deputy Vargas and his partner approached the suspect fired at deputies from his vehicle. Deputy Vargas was transported to Ben Taub Hospital, where he succumbed to his wounds. The suspect, who is a repeat violent offender, fled the scene when a U.S. Marshal Service canine located the suspect hiding in a dumpster. The suspect fired multiple shots at the canine. A responding officer returned fire, killing the suspect. The canine suffered 2 bullet wounds in the neck and nose and is in stable condition. Deputy Vargas has served with the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office for 17 years. He also served with the U.S. States Marshal's Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. He is survived by his wife and 3 children. He was 41. His tour was 17 years. Cause of death was gunfire.
Well, rest easy, brother. We got it from here.
Yeah, much love, brother.
Yeah. You know, some episodes I get done with and I feel uplifted. Some episodes I get done with and I want to drink. You guys pick which one is it?
There's a drinking one, dude.
Sorry, man.
No. Here's the thing. The more we talk about it, the more we put this shit out there, the more we get it out in the open, the better it is for the guys that are coming up or that are still out there to have a chance. Right.
Yeah.
If they're listening to this, if somebody's listening to this and their partner's going through some shit, they can share it with them and be like, just listen to it, dude. Just listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if one fucking career or one life or one psyche or one marriage is saved by any of our episodes, it's worth it.
Oh, 100%. And that's my goal. If I can just help, they can hear my story and it somehow benefits one person. Man, I feel like it was worth getting out here and kind of bearing my soul to, you know, all the people out there who are gonna, because that's not my nature. I like to stay pretty quiet. I mean, yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not my nature to put myself out there like this, but it's
well, we'd like to invite you back to talk about some fun stories. We want to talk to you about your career and all the cool shit you did too. So
yeah, definitely.
We'd love to reschedule you and have you come back and talk about some of the SWAT shit, some of the cool call outs and stuff like that. And be like, this is a palate cleanser, right? Now we'll have another episode where we'll have the steak and potatoes where we get the fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. Whenever you guys want me, I'm definitely down to come back and talk some more for sure.
Awesome.
100%.
All right. Well, Chuck, what do you got for us?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Dustin, so much for coming on. I know it was hard. And I've heard from numerous people that this can be cathartic, and I hope it was for you.
Definitely.
And for anybody listening that's in a command staff position, give a fuck about your backbone of your agency. Care about the fucking people that are working for you that make the fucking shit fucking go. Okay.
Yeah.
They are people. They're not just numbers. Give a fuck about your employees. Employee wellness is paramount to keep them doing what they're doing and doing the Lord's work, especially in tough times like these. And I want to say thank you, everybody, for today, for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you're already following us, we'd really appreciate if you could share a post and spread the word. You can also check out the link on both platforms to find all of our social media, the links, our website, and our podcast. Our podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. If you'd like to support us, head over to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some gear. Dustin, I'm going to send you something. Do you have a story to tell? Do you know someone who does? We're always looking for law enforcement, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, and veterans, but also not limited to those ER nurses and ER doctors. You guys have some crazy fucking stories, drilling IOs and the people that are assholes, fighting suspects. We get it. We want to hear them. So please message us. If you're interested, email us at booking.warstories@gmail.com. You can also talk to our producer at linkedin.com, War Stories Podcast. That's probably a better spot. And if you email me at booking, I am going to forward you to Dylan, our producer, because he's going to get you guys fucking booked for everything. We'd love to hear you, and we love to hear your stories. If you know someone who would be a great fit, please send them our way. Also, check out the link. Check us out on TikTok, www.tiktok.com, War Stories Locker Room. You could reach our producer there, as well as our LinkedIn. I'm going to give that LinkedIn one more time because it's very fucking important. LinkedIn.com, War Stories Podcast. Thank you for all the support. Stay safe out there.
And remember to join us on Locker Room Live. It's either Wednesdays or Thursdays. You won't know unless you follow us because we're trying to With our busy lives, sometimes we can't go live on the same night every week. Sorry, boys and girls, but it is what it is.
Right. And if you want to dedicate an episode to a fallen brother or sister and you have one, please send them to either the LinkedIn, the booking, the mailbag. And if you don't know what that is, check us out on War Stories, the War Stories Instagram and Facebook, and click the link in both of those bios, because the bios are only two there, the Facebook and Instagram on War Stories. Click the link. You can get all of the emails, the mailbag, the booking. LinkedIn's not on there yet, but LinkedIn, definitely go there as well. And you can send us those dedications.
And for the couple of listeners that sent us some dedications through our social media, I appreciate it. We responded that we wanted to do them. Unfortunately, we get so many messages, they get buried real quick. And if it doesn't get saved right away, so email us those dedications and we'll use them.
100%.
And we appreciate you, Dustin. Thanks again. And until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.